Week 3 is done and dusted, and the theme of this week was recovering a sense of power. And there's a few things that kind of aligned this week, which I thought were kind of cool. But with the chapter, it went through a few different topics. So it went about anger. Now, I'm not someone who deals with a lot of anger, I guess, like personally. I work in a retail job, so I deal with it there. But within myself, I get over things quite quickly. I try to not let things bother me or affect me too much. But they had a bit about anger in here, which I thought was really interesting. And anger is meant to be acted upon, not acted out. It's a map that shows us where we need to go. And I always think of anger as a negative sort of aspect and something that you don't really want. Well, I don't really want within my personality, but it kind of like just shows a different light on what anger is and what it can really do to motivate you. So if you're upset about something, it should motivate you to do something about it and to change it, which I thought was really interesting. So it kind of changed my perspective on anger and like what to do with it and how to deal with it, and that it's not always a bad thing. It could be something that's actually good for you. So I'm going to remember that and take that with me. The next thing was talking about synchronicity, or if you might think about it as the serendipity moments. And with synchronicity, it's those things where you ask for it and you shall receive. And they had a line in here, let your hook always be cast. Now, I don't go fishing a lot, but I liked that line, and it's just about always being open. I think in the previous chapters, they talk about just being open to letting creative inspo come to you, just not having yourself shut off to it. And this was really one of those moments, and it just says, in a way, like pay attention to it, think about it, and just don't, I guess, discount it if it comes your way. Just be available to like take upon that opportunity and don't waste it if it does come your way, which I thought was really interesting. It also talks about shame and how shame it's more of like a guilt thing. Could be shame about what others think of you, shame in admitting dreams. It's about not letting that doubt creep in, because it can really steamroll from there. And I know for me, especially when it comes to doubt, once that first kind of doubt gets in there, it can really like affect you and get to you and things like that. So it's more about not letting that shame or that doubt or anything affect your creative process. And obviously you're going to have that sometimes, and it's just knowing how to deal with that. Then moves on to the criticism aspect. So for me, I always thought criticism, like, it's not always bad. Like, I always know like constructive criticism is a good thing. I need that in the workplace, and I give that to other people, making sure I give them feedback and being constructive about it. And they talk about this is criticism, but especially pointed criticism is a good thing. And it'll reaffirm what you felt that wasn't quite right and not good. But if it's irresponsible, it means no purpose. So it just makes you feel that guilt and it makes you feel that shame. So you do need criticism in your life, but it has to be pointed or it has to be constructive. It can't just be like you suck for no reason in a way. And it's just making sure that having that constructive criticism, that feedback is like necessary in your life. And even as an artist, so just say if you release music or if you have a painting and it gets reviewed, then if it's fair criticism, you're not going to really take much offense to it. It's just going to, I guess, reaffirm what you felt that was wrong about it or something like that. But if it makes you feel like useless and hopeless, that means it's not good criticism in a way, which I thought was really interesting. Then it talks about growth. So growth is an erratic forward movement. So you take 2 steps forward, 1 step back, and it really feels like that sometimes. And what can really happen is it really can slow down your momentum. So you can have like an amazing like 1 or 2 weeks, and all of a sudden something might happen and it just, uprails everything and you can't do what it is that you wanted to do, and it might make you feel sluggish. But it says really here about when that does happen, it's about practicing being kind to yourself. And as something I'm really, really conscious of, because I can not be kind to myself sometimes, and I can be my own worst critic, and I can have guilt. And yeah, it's just about practicing that aspect. And it could be either, and I really liked this, I had it in there. So it's like writing 3 pages and then doing one kind thing for yourself. So you do your morning pages and then you do one kind thing for yourself that day, whether it is doing something nice, getting yourself some flowers, or taking a moment for yourself, or I don't know, retail therapy or something like that. It's just having those, little things for yourself. And if you do that, then it says here that you create like lightheartedness of the heart, which I thought was really cool. And that's, I guess, what the artist state kind of do. They really create that sense of peace and like that sense of serenity to be able to help you, I guess, refocus for the following week, or refocus on your creative tasks that you want to do and just not letting life and everything get in the way. And it really says here, like quiet time and regular check-ins with how you feel really help with that growth. And I think that's kind of common anyway, like having that self-reflection, looking back on your day, looking back on your week, and just really figuring out, could I have done anything better? Did I do my best? And with that reflection, it really helps you, I guess, be better for the following week. I know it definitely helps for me. Like I've always loved journaling, and with the morning pages, it's letting me journal more than what I would. Sometimes I'll just do a page and that's it, just to tick a box. But with the morning pages, you have to do either 3 A4s or 6 A5s, which I'm doing at the moment. And it really forces you to either reflect and expand on that reflection or do something creative or things like that. It doesn't let you escape in a way. So you could be like, I'm feeling upset, and then you don't have enough time to expand on it. But now you kind of have to. And I really like that aspect. And it's just helping me do those check-ins and really make sure that I'm dealing with the things that I'm going through. So with the task this week, I could really see the theme of it. There tends to be a bit of a theme with all the week's tasks, but this one had a lot about the childhood and just trying to put yourself back in, I guess, your little childhood shoes and think about what it was like back then. Because obviously when you're a kid, you don't have responsibilities, you're kind of almost carefree in a way, and your imagination usually runs amok. So it was kind of nice, I guess, taking a bit of a trip down memory lane, because the first task was literally describe your childhood room, and you can sketch it if you want to do, which I did. And it was nice because I had this cute little 4-poster bed. I had a whole bunch of little knickknacks on a shelf. Like across the hallway was my younger brother's room. Like to the side there was the cane bookshelf full of books that we used to read all the time. And it was just like a nice little memory that, I don't know, not sometimes, but you tend to not think about that stuff because, you're thinking about chore that I have to do. I've got work tomorrow. I've got to deal with such and such and such. And it was just a nice little, I guess, escape and just thinking about what it was like as a kid. Even though we didn't spend a lot of time in our rooms, unless we were naughty or if it was raining, we spent a lot of time outdoors, which was as you did as a kid in the 90s, running amok around the neighborhood. But it was really nice kind of just going through and thinking about what I liked about it. In the childhood room, like had a wardrobe, and then up was like kind of like a crawl space, and all in our rooms we sort of made like little like hideaway that we would get away in there, and I know put some books, put a blanket up there and stuff. And it's just nice to remember that because I kind of forgot about it. And I can see what this is doing, because obviously when you think about when you're a kid, you kind of want to bring back that curiosity and bring back that imagination and bring back that sort of freedom and that worry-free, so things can come to you and you can use that as inspiration. Another thing they ask you to do is describe 5 traits you like in yourself as a child. For me, I used to ask a lot of questions. I used to talk a lot. I used to talk too fast. And it was just something that I was doing. I was a curious little kid, and I just wanted to find out why something was like the way it was, or what was that, and stuff. I loved books and I loved reading as a kid. I was very lucky and got read to as well, which I think is where my love for books came from. Then I asked to list like 5 childhood accomplishments. The biggest one, like as a kid, was I used to win a lot of dancing comps and things like that. That was probably, I've got like trophies and ribbons and medals and stuff, which is, I guess, proof of the accomplishments and everything. But I think that was like my height. Like I was pretty decent in school and everything, but that was probably the biggest thing that I could remember that I was like really good at achieving at. Asked to list 5 childhood foods, like things you really used to like as a kid. Obviously a lot of sugar. Can't really have that much now, but sugar is always a main theme. Asked 3 rotten habits for me. Definitely one is Instagram Reels. Sometimes I get caught doom scrolling. Week 4 is kind of almost like a stimulus, like trying to like get rid of that for the week. So not reading, obviously you can read Artist's Way, but I'll talk about that in the following video of the Artist's Way. Yeah, the Instagram Reels is something that I really need to cull back. It's a good distraction. Not a good distraction, it's a bad distraction, and you don't really achieve much from it. So it's something that I really need to be conscious of. And then not prioritizing writing. So I'll tend to do the chores, all that kind of stuff, life admin, whatever you want to call it. And then I'll be like, I've already eaten, 15 minutes into my writing block. I might as well do something else and, do the writing block tomorrow. And I've really got to get out of that bad habit. And it just says, what's the payoff if I continue with these rotten habits? And there's not, like, I don't get anything that I want done. So I've just got to be really, really conscious of those. Talks about subtle foes and kind of what they do and affect you, whether it's their mood or feel like you're always being judged of them. And it's like subtle. So it's people that just could be in your life that, may be supportive sometimes, but it's just those little digs and stuff every now and then you have to be super conscious of. Then I ask you to list 3 friends who nurture you. And again, it's kind of like the same exercise. So what traits of those 3 friends that you really appreciate and really help you develop and things like that. Then it asks you to call a friend. In this day and age, being a millennial and stuff, calling people always seems a bit strange. Do it at work, fine. I think for business stuff, work stuff, that's always fine, making appointments and everything. But this book was written in 1992. So texting is fine, reaching out to a friend, I think that way is fine as well. But it's more of just showing gratitude and giving thanks. The part that I found really, really interesting though, was the one just about inner compass. And yeah, so with the inner compass, that one was a little bit more about the synchronicity of life and things. So with the inner compass, like everybody has one, and this is an instinct that points us towards health. So it warns us when we are on a dangerous ground, and it tells us when something is safe and good for us. So obviously they talk about morning pages as one way to connect. So there are some other artist brain activities, so painting, driving, walking, running, and it's about this week taking an hour to follow your inner compass. I had a really pretty rough week at work. I had to go in after hours, had to do some overtime, and it was a big drain mentally on me, and I was just exhausted. And this happened on Wednesday, so it was midweek, still had a couple of days of work left. So on Thursday, super conscious about it. Partner Drew, super supportive. So I had a bath and was in there for a nice long time and just read and had some music, light some candles, and just really helped decompress. And then what I did was, just watch some movies and some documentaries. And I did the same for Friday night to really help me, I guess, just calm down and try and fill my cup, because obviously on the weekend, I don't want it to be still that kind of same mental state in a way. Like I want to be able to enjoy the weekend and not be super exhausted and stuff for it. So I think a big thing is just being conscious about it, which is something that I was, which is good. And what it actually enabled me, and I thought it was that's where this synchronicity sort of thing comes in, was I watched a few documentaries, and by watching those documentaries, I realized they all had a kind of a common theme about perspective. And then it inspired me to write a blog on Substack, and I've been wanting to do one each week. I missed week 2, so I couldn't tick that off the box. Week 1, I did a cheat post saying, hi, this is me. I'm going to be writing on here. It was actually kind of nice to be inspired to write something, although it wasn't creative it is kind of creative, but it wasn't like a creative fiction story or anything. But it was nice to be able to do that and think about it and take away about it. And they all had just really common themes, which I thought was unusual. Usually it's eclectic and I watch a whole bunch of different stuff, but just watch things. And I think the biggest takeaway from it, I'll see if I can find it here, was, let's see, it's finding humor in struggle, visualizing success, reinventing yourself after setbacks, choosing collaboration over competition, being present in the moment. These are all a few little things that I learned about it, but it's all about perspective. But I thought it was really, really interesting. So, it's just one of those things of just not thinking that it's going to be a waste in a way. Like if I need to take a night off and I'm not going to be able to write or do those things, other opportunities will arise. And that's what it's about. I wanted to, and I've been thinking about it all week, finding time to write. And then Wednesday happened and I was just tired and exhausted, and I lost essentially 3 nights of being able to do it. But then being able to just relax and watch these movies and these documentaries and things like that, it actually inspired, which was really cool to see. So I trusted myself. I made sure I slowed down, had some self-care, made sure I didn't do work at home or anything like that. And then, was able to write something from it, which I thought was very interesting. So I'll trust my inner compass a little bit more. Sometimes I try to push through and persevere, soldier on and be like, I can handle it. But sometimes it's good to just be like, no, I actually need some time for myself. So I'm going to stop working and just relax and take time and breathe, I think, which is a big thing. Then the tasks sort of go on to writing about 5 people that you would admire. They don't have to be close people. They could be famous people. They could be authors. And it's also 5 people secretly admire. And then it's 5 people I wish I met that are now dead. And then 5 people who are dead that I would like to hang out with. And what I thought was really interesting, and I actually ran it through ChatGPT just to see with all these names if there are any common threads, because that's one of the things they ask, because it's all about finding these traits. So you talk about your traits as a kid, traits of people that you admire, and then what are these traits that you want to cultivate and you want to protect and that you want to add a little bit more in your life, or you want to make sure that you grow them. And I thought that was really, really interesting. And with the first one, so just about people I admire and then secretly admire, there was a lot about creativity and innovation, having an entrepreneurial spirit, having influence and reach, having resilience, and then having a dedication to the craft. And then with the people that have died and I wish I'd met, or that I'd like to hang out with, they had innovation in their field, a cultural impact, resilience and determination, multifaceted talents, and then challenge the norm. And biggest things between those two was around innovation, resilience, and then dedication and determination, which I thought was super interesting. And with the people that I admire, I thought it was actually quite hard to do. It's not something I really think about, that I have these guides that I want to look up to, and I'm very much maybe a bit stubborn and be like, no, I can do it all myself. But I really liked this exercise because it'd be like, you know what? It's good to get inspiration from people. It's good to see what traits they have. It's good to see if I can actually incorporate it into my own life, or do I have some of these and can I then take more inspiration? And it was just interesting. I don't really think about that because, you know, when it comes to people I admire, like I'm a really big fan of Ryan Holiday, and Drew recently got me into Doechii, and she has a very similar story about, you know, using the artist's way and everything. And she's just been heaps in the media because she won a Grammy, but you see all this hard work kind of coming to fruition, which is really cool. And with the people secretly admire, it could just be, you know, one of the comedy specials I watched, was one of the contents was Andrew Schultz. He's a stand-up comedian, can be a little bit controversial, but his recent stand-up was about life and him and his partner trying to fall pregnant and the struggles with that, and I really resonated with that. So I don't know if it should be secretly admired, but maybe because they're just, I don't know, maybe a little bit controversial, a little bit against the norm or things like that. But I thought, you know what, like put it on there because it takes a lot of guts to be able to talk about when you're having struggles, and I really, really liked that, and it's something that I actually really admired. With the people who have died, I mean, it's some of them are like classics, but you know, William Shakespeare, Jane Austen, Cleopatra, you know, Robin Williams, Marcus Aurelius, like Katharine Hepburn, like there's heaps of people that would be so interesting to either like sit down with or just meet and grab some ideas. And you know, you have these people in history that have made a difference, and you wonder if I will I be able to make a small impact, or can I just see what they've done and can I use their skills and expertise and things that are left behind to like help my life and help those people around me, I think is the big thing. Then after that, we've got the check-in. So how many pages of morning pages did I do? And I actually did 6 this week, which was really cool. The last 2 weeks it's been 5, and I really made a conscious effort to make sure I get up to 6. And that's what I'm going to try to do again for this coming week. And then I really want to get up to those 7. It's just, I've got to really early start on the Thursday, Friday day, and that's really hard for me to get it, but I'm trying to work a way around it because I can do it in the evening, but I think it kind of defeats the purpose. It is called morning pages, or maybe that's just, I don't know, me trying to take the easy way out. But again, I really want to try and get 6, and I'm really enjoying the process and making sure that I get those 6 pages filled out and getting everything out and making myself feel a lot more lighter for the day and doing that brain dump rather than having to think about it and stuff like that. With the artist date this week, so I did a paint by number set, or tried to do a paint by number set. I ordered one of those adult ones from Amazon. It was like $13, super cheap, really cute print. But like 2 hours in, I only had done like half the sky. Very intricate, probably not the best to try and do in 3 hours. So like, oh, I'll be able to do this, or I should have got something a bit smaller. But I do enjoy painting and I really liked it. But what I found was, because I was very drained from the week, I just needed something slow and at home. And again, I was able to watch like a few docos and things like that. But what I find though, that compared to the ones going out, I feel a little bit more fulfilled leaving the house, doing something new, going on a mini adventure. At home ones are needed because again, I can't spend money every weekend, or I can't go out every weekend. But I think the difference between like going to the New South Wales State Library or going out and taking photos and things like that was very different compared to staying at home and doing that paint by number set, because there's distractions. You can get your phone and you can leave and get a snack or things like that. So I think when you're out, you're kind of forced to be a little bit more present in the moment, where when you're at home, it kind of is a bit more comfy and you can fall in like old habits and old routines. Then I asked about any synchronicity. So definitely, like I was saying a bit earlier, just around being able to watch a bunch of content and getting inspo from that, and sometimes I think, like, can I actually learn anything from what it is that I'm watching? I mean, I watched 2 Hot 1 episodes and I tend to binge those because, sometimes the questions actually can be pretty decent. But with both of them, I actually learned something from it and I had a bit of a takeaway, whether I was just being open to that content or being conscious about making sure I'm taking something away rather than just consuming, because we live in such a world full of consumption that I want to make sure that I'm also creating and giving back. So if I am consuming, then I want to be able to make sure that I'm using that to benefit me and not just as a distraction. So at the moment, I'm very conscious about whatever it is that I do consume, that I'm actually going to be learning something from or I can take away from it. But just being open and asking to have inspo to write and asking just to have like the motivation for it. Watching all this, I never thought that I would. I thought it was just a distraction to not do the writing thing, but it ended up giving me some inspo, which I never thought that I would get from it, which was really cool. I think I wrote something here, so I noticed, yeah, it's just about being a little bit more intentional, I think, at the end of the day, and knowing that even though I couldn't do everything that was on my, because I'm doing like a 12-week year thing as well, just because of how like the week just upheaved and didn't go according to plan, that just having this as an outcome and this is what's happened from it was actually pretty decent. I'm pretty happy about that. So although it wasn't the best week and it was pretty crappy, it was good because I ended up writing at the end of it, which is good. And I'm filming a video and, I'm not completely depleted. I actually feel like I've filled my cup a little bit and I've got a really good artist date planned for the following week. And yeah, it's just about looking forward to these things. And I think the theme of the synchronicity and just being open and being present, I really liking at the moment. I just got to make sure I stay in that space and stay in that momentum and not let life and things get in the way and let them affect me, and just make sure I'm focusing on the self-care and doing the things that I need to do. The last one is there any issues? Just knowing that I needed to have a few slow days after Wednesday and just being, what did they call it before? It's just being, where is it? It's just part of that growth, really, and just being open to it and everything as well, I think. But yeah, that is week 3 done. Week 4 is coming up. A little bit of a theme for week 4, like I was saying, was consuming less. The book was written in 1992, I think I mentioned before. So obviously social media wasn't a huge thing. For them, it's about reading. So obviously, even the internet was in its early days. So a lot of people used to read newspapers, magazines, all that kind of thing. So it's just about limiting that. Limiting the internet browsing that I do, not that I do a lot, making sure that I don't waste time on social media and getting rid of that. You can literally listen to a little bit of music and do things, but it's just about not over consuming and not letting these outside influences get to you. So that'll be, I think, good. It'll be a bit of a reset and just help focus on that creative aspect and everything. But yeah,